We have and I would like to go back to this, and hopefully we don't have to walk that road again, the Domelevo situation. I will not belabor it. What is your candid reaction to what has happened? And we'll take a swipe at a few other issues when it comes to governance. But I'll start with you, Doc.
So which one did you want me to touch on?
Domelevo.
Well, in hindsight, I think it was a low point in governance. I mean, and I think that I would side with the Supreme Court justices in terms of this decision, and for lack of a better word, I think that he will have some compensation for this, and Ghana would lose some money in terms of the compensation that Domelevo will get.
And in terms of obviously what we could have got from him if he had been at post.
Well,
everything that has happened.
I would agree with you. So as it stands, governance is also a learning institution, and I'm sure that with this mistake will not be repeated by any other government. Other measures will be put in place in terms of the checks and balances before any official in that capacity is allowed to go on, let me say, leave indefinite. But be it as it may, I also think that in this case, the NDC, can admit to the fact that the justices are very fair-minded, because they've shown to be fair-minded, and if even they had doubts, which sometimes they do, this is one classic case that I would always cite as proof that the justices are not necessarily just doing what government.
So I see where you're going. In other words, there have been a string of decisions that have seemed to go against his party,
yes.
the NDC.
Yes,
and you're basically saying that with this is you could say Domelevo was brought in at the twilight of Mahama's administration, but we've seen same from the MPP into the NDC administration. So let's not go back there. But this was someone who was merely doing the charges that the state, fulfilling the charges that the state had given him. In fact, for a long time, we hadn't seen an Auditor General surcharging, doing. In fact, we had not seen it in the Fourth Republic. He was the first person who came and started enforcing.
Rambo style.
Well, whichever style you would say Daniel Domelevo went Commando, about it. So there are issues there about how the cookie crumbled. But the court has ruled. The question, though, with the time, some have said that when there are issues from the Electoral Commission and the rest, it can rule within the twinkling of an eye. 2 weeks, it could have been done with this. But we sat down, allowed this entire process to happen 3 years on, about 3 years on, and we brought a ruling. To what effect?
Well,
after all this time had lapsed.
I think the decisions are not the same.
I'm not saying they are the same, but looking at the degree of importance, you would have felt that the court would expeditiously deal with this.
The court did a smart thing in the sense that the rift, and you see, he would admit to the fact that when there's almost like a family contention and people are looking for divorce, the court has a way of delaying so that there's hope of reconciliation.
I do not think for someone
there's hope for reconciliation.
Who also dabbles in these legal circles. I don't see the correlation. In family circles, yes, sometimes it is done to tarry, and people can change their minds.
Employee disgruntlement.
People can change their minds at a point, and it is intentionally done. But in this instance, where's the correlation?
No. In this case, that let me put it very clearly, that there was a relationship in terms of an employee, quote unquote, of the state and the government, in that sense, the executive. And I think that in the wisdom of the judges, they felt that coming to a conclusion on this matter, considering even the aftermath, for instance, if he was brought back like a year after he had gone on that leave, who knows the impact that it would have on this country in terms of, relationship between the executive and the accountant and controller. So I think that in the wisdom, and they felt that if the benefits outweigh the cost in terms of the benefits of him having this peace of mind, and now, thanks to God, he has even another appointment, so he's working somewhere else. and the cost to the state, because these things are state decisions.
Okay,
So,
I think
it
the
was in
thrust
the
of your
interest of the state, that they looked at and arrived at this decision, which still, as it is, shows that they have made a decision very much at variance with what the president's...
that also leaves us with a sort of template that moving forward, and it is hoped that no other executive presidents will come and repeat similar exercises. It's been touted, though, that under Mahama, there was a similar happening. I've just forgotten the particular person involved, but there was something akin to this, but not much noise was made about it because maybe this person was not performing, so to speak, like Daniel Yao. Domelevo. But while you address that, I know you have a take quickly. I also want you to address Green Ghana Day. It's 3 days away. We're talking governance. And for me, I've asked questions about how much we've been pumping into these exercises, how many trees we have actually saved and all of that. And on the back of, I don't know whether you watched our news this morning, Itiwa, and still the campaign there, because it's one of the last that we have when it comes to such zones, on the back of Galamsey, again, governance. So you can address this. I know you have some brief thoughts there. And then I want you to go into Green Ghana Day and all of that.
Put the two together because I have...
Oh, I know. So this will be reactions. And I want you to take those up.
On the issue of Domelevo, I think that, yes, I agree with Doc that it is a low in our governance. Unfortunately, it is one of many lows under this Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. I mean, they have simply turned so many things upside down. I mean, things we thought a government didn't have the capacity to do, they have done overboard. And sometimes I just wonder how democratic watchers sit by and watch this government abuse every, good governance tenets that we know. I just can't, for the life of me, understand. And the justifications about the delay is neither here nor there. I think that it was uncalled for. It should have been, dismissed and dispatched with long ago, especially because we all know and agree that justice delayed is justice denied. And I just like the way Domelevo has taken this. And I think that Doc must be careful when he uses this as, an example of how the judiciary is unbiased. The NDC had no interest whatsoever in this matter beyond just being citizens of Ghana and consent. NDC didn't have any interest in this matter.
Really?
And so for you to say that, it's like, okay, the NDC has also gotten some victory. It's rather a slam and a damnation of the judiciary, because the NDC really had no interest whatsoever beyond just the fact that we are all Ghanaians and we are concerned that our institutions, and people leading our institutions were treated in the manner that the government used executive power, to treat Domelevo. So I don't think that it's a very good example to use. But I think that the judiciary themselves must take note of the reaction to this ruling. They must take note of the reaction to this ruling.
Yeah.
And then be guided. And I am sure if they are guided, they will enjoy the bipartisan, and, general support when they give out rulings that sits with the conscience of the people.
Right.
This particular ruling is one example that should guide them, that it doesn't matter even if the government is unhappy with the ruling, they can't challenge it because it would have been a ruling that makes sense and that sits with the conscience and the aspirations of the people. After all, justice emanates from the people. And so it must be dispensed in such a way that the people see it being delivered without any manipulation. So I just hope that you'll be guided. I wish we...